Tarzan's kind of surfing on vines or tree trunks or tree branches. That's what they're called. They made a system called Deep Canvas, and it was able to kind of layer that 3D form and 2D animation over that. So almost like recording a live action movie, which is really cool.
I'm guessing not with newer animation, but like with a lot of the older animations, especially like with Disney, every frame would have to be drawn. So
Well, like John Silver, he's 2D with a little bit of that 3D twist because he has that CGI arm, which as a kid I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I think it still is the coolest thing ever, especially since he's like a chef and a cyborg. It's just
right.
It's great.
I guess the point what I was getting to is, so in animation, I'm guessing you create layered as a set layer and then animate the characters like with their conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's how it works. One like really good example, Walt Disney actually created a camera of sorts and was able to make it so for a zoom in, it zooms into everything except for the moon. It makes it look a lot more realistic. Disney made a lot